manager here at Photographique. Been working here for about 5 years. Yeah, quite a long background in photography, studying and working in the field for a while. So Photographique's been open now for 10 years. We moved around quite a lot. I personally wasn't involved in the opening of the shop, but the owner had quite a sort of long career working in labs and stuff, and just decided to start his own really. Yeah, I think it came at a time where photography was kind of dipping and coming back up, but you know, a lot of the sort of high street stores were sort of doing less and less printing and film processing. So it was quite an interesting time to enter the market in a time where it's going downhill, to try and make it come back up again in a way. You do get occasional trends. I mean, I've been working in labs since I was about 15, 16. I did my work experience at school in photo labs. That's around, yeah, maybe 15, 20 years of this. But you do have your kind of people who have always used it. Students tend to be quite common. They always sort of go towards film just as a sort of photographic practice. It's a lot more in tune with actually being a photographer. And you do get people, you know, train spotters, graffiti artists, skateboarders. They've always consistently used film. But you do get sort of these little rises in just general public shooting film, especially festival season. You get a lot of disposable cameras coming through. But in terms of like a real resurgence, I'm not 100% convinced that it's, I mean, maybe, but I'm not certain that that's the way. I think there's always been this sort of certain pockets of people that have used it, and maybe it's the increase of those people that are interested in them things that makes it more popular. There's certain film stocks, like Kodak films and stuff, that have been discontinued and have basically been brought back, which is definitely evidence that there's a popularity in it. Whether or not it's going to become like a big thing again, I'm not sure. I think similar to like vinyl with music, it might just continue along this path with its sort of interest to certain people, but whether it will become, I don't think. I mean, photography is such a big part in most people's lives now with iPhones and stuff, but I'm not sure if film photography will creep back into the mainstream, but I think it will just like continue where it is in a way, which is interesting for us because we're still doing the same thing, but there's a lot less places to do that sort of stuff. So.
I'm Beth, I'm 17 and I'm currently at sixth form in Harden-Hewish. I am hoping to go to Trowbridge College to do art and design for a pre-degree course to experiment with new things and see what I like doing. So basically I just took photography GCSE because I didn't know what else to take. I was just like, I don't really know what to do. And then I started doing it and I was like, wow, I actually really like this is pretty cool. All the people around me started doing it, and like I was like meeting new people and it was really cool, and like they inspired me to do different things. And then I like got my first camera and I was like, oh, I actually really like doing this. And then for my film camera, it was just school, we had to do a project on developing film in dark rooms, and I at first was kind of terrified, but then I got a film camera and yeah, just kind of went from there. Took my first film, went to my mum's friend's house and he taught me how to actually put the film in and stuff, and then I went into the darkroom and I was like, wow, I really love doing this, and then yeah, I just kind of went from there. So I guess I've just been doing photography for about 4 or 5 years. Most of my inspiration comes from like the people around me, the things I see, and like social media definitely has a big influence, so I'll like just be scrolling through and see it's like someone makes some cool stuff and I'll be like, hey, like, and it like leads to new ideas for me to go on to do. And like in my photography class we get given like themes to follow, and yeah, but like a lot of it used to be just people I know and the stuff they did, and it would like inspire me to go and do my own. And there's like less of that now, but yeah, just watching other people. If I had to categorise my photography, it would be like people. It kind of changes, like I take photos of, it depends what I'm feeling, but like I mostly like taking portraits of people and like candid photos of people doing things. Like I like capturing like a moment, and style as well. I really like taking photos of different styles and the way people present themselves to the outer world. And I also do a lot of physical experimentation with photos, so I like take them and then I'll go on and put like paint on them or cut them up or do stuff like that. Like I'm pretty like mixed media kind of stuff. In terms of favourite photographers, I don't really have that many. They're like people like Diane Arbus. I really like her photos, and yeah, just like sort of meanings behind them. But most of like my favourite stuff isn't like specific photographers. I just see, like I'll just see a random photo and I'm like, oh, I really like that, like through Instagram or something. So just random people and different things. Like I haven't got a favourite person on a whole. Like I just like a bit of everything really. If I had to pick between analogue and digital, I would probably pick analogue in terms of like how much I like it. But digital is a lot easier for just taking it and then it's like straight on my phone and I can do whatever I want with it. And analogue is like, it's a longer process, but I think that kind of makes it more like interesting, I guess. And I like the way it comes out more. It has like a nicer feel and the colours and stuff. So like I prefer analogue, but digital's a lot easier.
So my name's Aaron Hodgson. I'm course leader in photography. I think I've been out of college around sort of 8-9 years now, and I teach photography. Yeah, so analogue photography is a form of photography which is kind of the old silver processes. So traditionally shot on film using paper. Shooting and processing in the darkroom, sort of colour photography, black and white, various sort of ranges of film cameras. It's been interesting in sort of recent years with analogue photography. I think you might have read in newspapers and that sort of thing. A lot more young people are getting into analogue and traditional photography processes and maybe kind of turning their backs on kind of the newer, more modern digital processes, so they can have more of ownership over their photography, and not have it kind of mediated by Nikon or Canon. And we do see there's quite a lot of students here who kind of shoot film still, shoot colour film because we have colour processing downstairs. Also through sort of social media and the Instagram, that's really brought kind of some sort of notoriety back to photography. You've got certain kind of companies revisiting old kind of film stock, sort of Fuji, Kodak and Ilford, so Ilford's your sort of black and white emulsion. There's kind of been sort of, I guess, people relaunching sort of certain brands. There's also probably a rise in black and white photography in a sense. Although, you know, what you do have available to shoot on these days is a lot more kind of narrower in your film choice than it was sort of even 10 years ago. You've got the rise of sort of Polaroid as well. I guess I would always shoot on analogue because that's my interest, and it's just got a different feel to it and the quality is totally different. And you can always kind of, if you know about photography, you can always tell what's been shot on film, what's been shot on digital. It's not necessarily the quality, but the feel of the final print.